The recording begins with the smell of antiseptic and decay. A hospital room where an old man's final confession hangs in the air. His voice is a frayed thread, trembling with a weight that makes the very air feel thick and suffocating. Then, 3 words cut through the static. What I did. The recording doesn't just stop. It's severed, as if something reached out and ripped the truth away. But in that abrupt silence, you can almost hear the echo of something worse. The sticky, wet sound of a secret too terrible to finish. This tape was never meant to be found. It was a dying man's burden, buried where the morphine couldn't reach. And now, it's in your hands. A story that begins with a confession and ends in a mystery soaked in dread. This is a deathbed confession, but not from a criminal, from a beloved grandmother. For 40 years, my family believed my mother, Laura, simply vanished into the night, choosing to abandon us. The truth, she whispered, was far more terrifying than abandonment. What she described wasn't a choice to leave, but something that compelled her departure. My grandmother's final words shattered the world I thought I knew. Growing up, I saw my grandmother Laura as this vibrant, smiling woman who smelled like lavender and baked the best cookies in our suburban home. But that comforting image began to fray at the edges in her final days. The air in her room grew thick with the scent of medicine and something else, something metallic, like old pennies. I grew up in a quiet Columbus suburb, my entire life defined by a single, gaping void. The disappearance of my mother, Laura, in 1983, when I was just 6. My father, John, was a good man, shattered by it. He clung to the official story. Mom had been restless. They'd fought about money, but the air in our house always carried the faint, metallic scent of an unanswered question. One frigid November night, she gathered her coat and purse, murmuring she needed to clear her head, then vanished. No farewell note was left behind. No desperate calls ever came. The air in her home grew thick and stale, carrying the faint, metallic scent of absence. She was simply gone, swallowed by the whispering dark. My grandmother, Eleanor, was the anchor of my world. My mother's mother, who moved in to help my father raise me. She was my comfort, my historian, the keeper of my mother's fading memory. When grief would seize me, she'd hold me close, her touch a quiet reassurance against the world. Her voice, a soft murmur in the dark, would offer the only truth she knew. We may never understand my sweet girl, but we had to live with the mysteries, and we did, for 40 long years. My father passed away, still carrying that unanswered question in his heart. I built my own life, marriage, children, but that primal dread from our childhood never truly left me. Yet that question lingered, a ghost in every family photograph. Where had she vanished? 2 months ago. Hospice. The room held a sterile scent, the light thin and forgiving. Sarah held her grandmother's papery hand, the silence between them thick and waiting. The cancer was finally claiming its victory, a slow, quiet conquest in that still room. Her mind remained sharp until the pain medication took hold. That's when the murmurs began. A low, whispering undertone beneath the steady beep of monitors. She'd drift into sleep, then her eyes would snap open, wide with a raw animal panic I'd never witnessed. Her hand would clamp around mine, cold and damp, as she whispered fragments of sentences that held no rational meaning. The blue car, Sarah. Tell John I'm sorry about the blue car. My dad's car was brown. One time, she just started crying. I made her leave. I made her leave. The air in the room grew thick with the scent of old paper and forgotten memories. I wrote it off as delirium, dismissing the cold dread that settled in my stomach. The nurse suggested I record our conversations, so my children could one day hear their grandmother's voice. But what I captured were the confused ramblings of a dying woman. Her phrases were unnervingly specific, each one carrying the sharp scent of hospital antiseptic and a deeper, unsettling odor of decay. And every single whispered fragment was only ever about my mother. So I did. I placed the phone on the nightstand, its cold surface stark against the wood. What I captured that night was not a memory for my children. It was a confession. The audio file played again. This time, with chilling clarity, Eleanor's voice emerged, breathy and strained, each word a struggle against the morphine's pull. Sarah, my darling girl, she whispered, the air thick with the sterile scent of antiseptic and impending loss. I need you to listen before it takes me again. What I did to your mother, it wasn't to be cruel. The recording crackles to life. Sarah's voice tinny and distant. Sarah asks, her tone gentle but edged with confusion. Eleanor's reply comes, her voice a low rasp that seems to thicken the air with a scent of old paper and dust. Her words hang, a confession heavy with a dread that settles like a damp, invisible weight. She was in love with Sarah, but this hidden photo revealed another truth. It showed Laura with her college friend Maria, their arms wrapped around each other, joy radiating from the faded print. The air in the room grew still, thick with the scent of old paper and secrets long pressed between pages. And then, in a voice barely above a whisper, the host reveals, this photo fell from one of Grandma's books later. I'd never seen it before, never even heard the name Maria. Then, Eleanor's voice crackled from the recording, breaking the heavy quiet. I found the letters, she said, a tremor of ozone and old paper in her tone. I was cleaning. I wasn't snooping. A pause, thick with implication. Before the final, damning whisper, I saw them. They had a plan. California. A fresh start. Together. She was going to take you, Sarah. She was going to take you away from your father, from me, from everything normal, Sarah whispered. Grandma. Eleanor's voice dropped to a hushed, urgent tone, heavy with decades-old dread. I confronted her the night she left. I told her she was sick, that it was a sin. He warned her that leaving with that woman would poison your future, tarnish our family's name for generations. The air in the room grew thick with the scent of damp wool and cold iron. Like a storm about to break, his voice dropped to a raw whisper, each word sticking in his throat. If she loved you, he insisted, the words scraping out, she would vanish, disappear without a trace. Let John raise you in a proper home. We would tell everyone she abandoned you. Kinder than the truth. Sarah's breath hitched. The air in the room suddenly thick and cold. Eleanor's voice broke into ragged sobs from the recording. She was so angry, Eleanor wept. The words heavy with decades-old rot, and then just heartbroken. Her voice was a raw, wounded thing. You're choosing a lie from her. Over the truth of it. She took her coat from the back of the chair, the rustle of fabric, the only sound in the oppressive stillness. Her gaze locked onto mine, heavy with finality. You win, mother, but you don't get to keep her. You live with what you've done. Then she turned, and the door closed softly behind her. I thought she'd go to Maria. I thought she'd have the life she wanted, and we'd have the lie we needed.
I never thought. Sarah, you never thought she'd actually vanish. You thought you knew the ending. Eleanor, for 40 years, I prayed she was happy somewhere. But the police reports, the missing persons files, I realized too late what they meant. Something happened to her that night, something terrible. The air still carries the faint metallic scent of what unfolded. And I'm the one who sent her out into that consuming darkness. With a broken heart, because of my shame, I killed her, Sarah, as sure as if I pushed her. A long, static-filled pause on the recording. A ragged, final breath escapes her lips.
Eleanor's final whisper. My beautiful girl, I am so sorry. The air around her grows still, thick with the scent of damp earth, and something coppery. Her last words hang in the silence. Find Maria, please. My grandmother died less than an hour after that recording ended, taking the full, horrifying truth with her. The woman I loved as my foundation had been the architect of our family's tragedy. Her final words, a cold command from the grave, hung in the air like a curse. The flatline's final beat wasn't an end. It was the key turning in a lock, opening a door I never wanted to find. She didn't abduct my mother, nor did she inflict physical harm. Instead, she twisted my mother's love for me and her own deep-seated fears into weapons. On that frigid November night, she coerced my mother into making a desperate, solitary choice. I'm searching for Maria. I have to, because Grandma Eleanor was right about one thing. The story didn't end when my mother left our house. It ended somewhere out there, in the dark, between our doorstep and the life she dreamed of. For 40 years, I missed a mother I believed had abandoned me. Now I mourn a woman whose love was so profound, she willingly became the villain in my story. She chose to haunt my life as a ghost of rejection, just to shield me from the suffocating weight of a family secret. So I ask you, what is the greater crime? Is this a disappearance? Or the lie that sustained it? The love that tries to protect? Or the love that demands the truth, no matter how agonizing? The air grew heavy with the scent of old paper and forgotten years. I'm coming, Mom. I'm following the truth, no matter where it leads. Whatever awaits at the end of this journey, I promise you this, I will bring you home.